All right, let's do this. All right, so first things first, I've been teaching since 7 a.m. and most of you have been up for a long time right now and we're tired. I get that, but I've been looking forward to this presentation for probably the past 3 weeks. I've been really preparing this presentation over the past 3 weeks for all of you. That is what I consider family. And I first want to start off by saying thank you to Steve, thank you to Lisa and Brandon for reaching out to me and for giving me this opportunity. For me, this is so much fun. And I feel like I've just built a great relationship with Yat, and I can't wait to share with you what I have today. All right, so here we go. If you just logged on, I strongly advise you have some type of writing utensil and something to write on because I'm going to be talking a lot. Like I'm just going to give you so much information, and I just want you to remember this as we go through. So life lessons. This is something I'm actually known for in my classes. I've been a teacher at Beckman High School for the past 8 years. And if you don't know already, I was actually a student, the first graduating class of Beckman High School, right when it opened. So for me, when I go to work, it's like me going home every day. When I talk to my students, it's like me talking to the miniature me way back in the day, all right? So grateful, so grateful. All right, so let's check the Catherine audio. And I just got a little thing that, yeah. Can everyone hear me? Just making sure. Can people hear me right now? Checking. We're good? Okay, awesome. So, hey, let's get it going. So the purpose of my life lessons, all right? So ever since my first year of teaching, I decided every single day, I haven't missed a day, for about 5 minutes to about 10 minutes, give the life lesson. I teach my students things that they're going to need to know past biology or past AP biology, right? Now, of course, we spend the majority of our time studying for the AP exam and studying biology, but I do understand that not every student is going to become a scientist, a doctor, but everyone will go through something called life. And when it comes to me, I don't know everything, not even close, but I have made enough mistakes to really want to mentor my students into becoming better people than I am. And when I say that, I truly mean that. Whenever I teach character or, like mentor students, I literally want you to be better than me, right? Not worse, better than me. So today I'm going to share with you just what's been in my heart for the past 3 weeks. And we're going to talk about quarantine and just like different things that are relevant to all of us. So the purpose of my life lessons, I'm not trying to tell you how to live life. I've never done that and I never will because it doesn't work. Instead, I'm trying to get you to think about your own life. I'm trying to think about your own actions. And then maybe from there can be a nice change. Remember, the only person who can get you to make a lasting change in your life is you. It's not me, it's you. So it's a lot of reflection has to happen for you to understand that, hey, this is something I actually want to do. And I love this quote, a student can only learn if a student wants to learn. And obviously all of you want to learn because you're on this call and we're going to do it together. It's going to be awesome. All right, here we go. My presentation today is 2 parts. So part 1, I'm going to talk about 5 traps to be careful of in quarantine. And then after I teach you that, I'm going to go to part 2. And I'm going to talk about 3 tips for building character during quarantine. So everything is centered around what is relevant to us right now, what we are in right now, which is quarantine. So let's start with part 1. If you just want to just write that down, part 1, 5 traps to be careful of in quarantine. All right, here we go. Number 1, health. Okay, so I asked my students, what do you think are the top health issues that will result from people's time in quarantine? So right now, think about it right now. Worldwide, we are all quarantining in place to just get home. And a lot of this, like you understand, there's going to be some health issues happening. So just brainstorm right now in your own head. What do you think are some top health issues that are going to result from this quarantine? All right. So here are my top 3, and I just want to share them with you. All right. Number 1, weight / your vascular health. Being a biology teacher, I understand how important your heart health is. I believe that that's going to take a toll, especially since we're all at home right now. Number 2, your eye health. And number 3, ergonomics. So I'm going to break it down one at a time. So if you're frantically copying this down, don't worry, it's going to come back on another slide. So number 1, weight / cardiovascular health. The first thing you need to understand is what is exercise? Okay, so one of my neighbors, super awesome guy, super cute dog. Like his dog is very small, a little overweight, I gotta say, and it walks pretty slow. So when I asked him, hey man, how are you getting exercise during this quarantine? He's like, oh man, like I walk my dog. And whenever I see him walk his dog, literally, here's what I see. His dog walks so slow that he's literally just, and I'm like, I don't know if that's exercise. Okay, so what is exercise? According to Webster's dictionary, exercise involves engaging in physical activity and increasing your heart rate. Now, I don't know if your heart rate will be increased by walking slow. Maybe it will. I don't know. But for the majority of us, that's not going to cut it. So when it comes to exercise, physicians recommend 30 minutes a day. Now, I know that seems like a lot. I was talking to one of my students this past week. I was like, hey, when's the last time you got out of your house? He's like March 13th. Like March 13th, that's like almost 2 months ago. He's like, yeah, my parents are so scared and they won't let me out. Now, I understand. Like, I'm not saying like, hey, don't listen to your parents and go. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is try to find a way to increase your heart rate beyond your resting level for about 30 minutes a day. If you can't do it for 30 minutes a day, that's fine. Do it for 30 minutes every 2 days or every 3 days. But the point I'm trying to make is if you really want to make sure that your cardiovascular health is going to be in check during this quarantine, make sure you find some type of exercise. Okay, eye health. If there's a prediction that I'm going to make, it's that after this quarantine, a lot of our visions are going to go down, like in terms of how well we can see. A lot of optometrists out there are going to get a lot of business after this. Why? Because even me, since 7 a.m., I've been looking at this computer screen. Now, you probably have heard of this rule. I'm going to teach it to you. If you haven't, write it down, please. It's the 20-20-20 rule. And what that means is to best protect your eyes, every 20 minutes, look at an object 20 feet away for about 20 seconds. You've probably heard this before, but if not, just write this down. Now, 20 feet, what's 20 feet? So I'm in one of our bedrooms right now in our house. And the typical bedroom, if it's not a master bedroom, the typical bedroom is about 10 by 10, maybe 12 by 12, but usually there. So when I say 20 feet away, really what I'm trying to say here is it's pretty far. It's something kind of far away. And I remember I started this in college. I went to UC Irvine. I loved UC Irvine. I had a lot of nights of studying where I would look at my textbook for literally 6 to 8 hours straight. That being said, I would set my alarm for every 20 or 30 minutes, and I would just have it do one ring. So every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, it would be ding. And during that time, no matter what I was doing, I would stop looking at the computer screen, and I would literally just look away. Something all the way down the computer lab, all the way down the library, all the way down to the place where I'm looking at. And I would actually try to read something. Because when you read a sign far away, you focus your eyes on something different. And because of that, now you're going to refocus your eyes on something else instead of your screen. If you're able to build that great habit, your eye health is going to really thank you in the long run. In the short run, you can handle anything. You're young, right? Like you'll be fine. But a lot of things I teach you, they're not going to affect you in the short run. They're going to affect you in the long run. So right now, I know it's going to take time. Let's do it. Let's practice. Regardless if you're looking at me on a computer screen or a TV or really whatever, can you refocus your eyes on something far away? Maybe even like something that you can read, a sign maybe in your house or maybe something across the room. And I'm going to set our timer and we're going to see what 20 seconds is. It's not that long. All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to do it too. Go. So I'm just looking out my window right now. It's a beautiful day. See a palm tree. Blue skies, sun's out. About 13 seconds. And that's 20. So it's not even that long. But if you can get in a good habit at a young age, when you get into college and you go through all these all-nighters that I've been through, trust me, it's not beautiful, but I've been there, you're going to really thank yourself by building this habit. All right? So eye health. And the third is ergonomics. Now, the moment I said ergonomics, you immediately change your body posture because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm slouching right now. How are you sitting right now? Just think about that. Show me your best position. I'm looking at Daniel Jin right now, right? Like right there. Hi, Daniel. Like, show me your best position. Like, show me your best ergonomics. right? So right now, like even my body posture has changed, right? So let me show you some pictures. Here's what we end up doing, because as humans, we are habitual creatures. Like, look at this picture, right? This is what you may be doing too. Like you may see some of this. Maybe it starts out well, but then over time, it just naturally, like you just get to something that's more comfortable. Look at this. Right? I am guilty of this. I am guilty of this in college. I've done this, right? It's just more comfortable. Right? Look at this, right? So all of these, like when it comes to the study of ergonomics, it's really studying your body posture, right? Now, some of you may be saying, but Mr. Chow, it's more comfortable. Like, it's just more comfortable. I'm used to it. And my advice to you is this. Comfort is all about what you're used to. So some of you really need to reconsider what's comfortable to you, right? Because for me, what is more comfortable? It's not the temporary, which is like, oh, well, right now it feels good. For me, what's comfortable is knowing that one day when I'm a grandparent, I'm going to be able to do awesome things with my kids and or my grandkids, right? So that is comfortable to me, knowing that one day all this will come back to help me, all right? So reconsider that, right? So here's good posture, right? You probably have already heard about this, but it's to make sure that you have some 90-degree position of your legs to ensure that your both your feet are flat on the ground. It's to make sure that you have a nice arch on your back. I'll show you some more pictures of that. And a lot of it is making sure that your eye level is, I believe, just right above your monitor. So you're constantly looking up, and if you're constantly looking down, it's not good for your neck. So that's perfect. And I'm not asking for perfection all the time, but what I'm asking you to do, students, is to just reconsider, what do you normally look like when you're studying for a long time or you're reading something for a long time? If you look at the anatomy of the physical spine, like the human spine, there is a natural curvature. There is a natural curvature. So sometimes like what I like to do is I like to get an ergonomic pillow and I like to support my back, or I like to put some cushion there to make sure that I have a spine, curved spine. So as you can see, incorrect to correct. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for you to be mindful of what you currently do and what's currently comfortable to you. And then hopefully you can switch that. Here's something else no one's ever taught me. Look at this. A lot of times, like when we're using our mouse or our keyboard, this is what you see at home usually. And if you look at the natural curvature of the hand, that's not relaxed. What's relaxed is usually something that's straight. So you may have seen, so this is normally what I see whenever it comes to people using the computers. You may have seen something like this and maybe worth your $5 to $10 investment on Amazon. It just ensures that ergonomically your wrist is straight. And over time, like you've probably heard of carpal tunnel and all these different things, it's because of the positions. It's because of the prolonged positions of our hands. So once again, don't mean to give you an anatomy lesson, but it's just something I'm really hoping students can think about as we get in contact. All right. So that's the first trap, health. Now let's move on to our second trap. Write this down, please. Social media. Now, I'd be the first to tell you that there are pros and cons to really everything, especially social media. There's a lot of pros, especially in quarantine. Oh my gosh, social media is great because I get to keep in contact with all my friends and stuff like that. Even though I currently don't have any social media, but I get it. I get it. Social media is important. So with my students, I usually have them brainstorm. Why is it bad? So just think about it right now. I know we don't have that time to chat and all that stuff, but oh, awesome, Lisa, good for you. I'm surprised, Lisa. You're such a social person. But in short, social media, there we go. Why would you say, or what would you say are, let's say, 2 cons to social media? Just think about that. Just think about that quickly. So here are my thoughts. Look, I get it. As leaders, all of you are leaders of YAP, and all of you need to utilize social media to invite members or to get the word. I get that. But at a certain point, I've come to understand personally that social media isn't probably the best for me. Why? Because I got to say, in college, I was obsessive with, looking at my social media. I was obsessed with how many likes I got. Literally, that was me. And it wasn't until I let it go that I realized, wow, that actually took a lot of time of my life, and now I can redirect that time to something else. Here's some things to think about. Everyone looks great at a distance. Like right now, oh wow, Mr. Chow's wearing a tie. But man, if you zoom into my face, see those pimples? Okay, so it's too much. But I think you get the point. Everyone looks great at a distance. Every time you compare yourself, and I got to say, a lot of people probably compared themselves to me in college, but I also compared myself to a lot of people. Every time you compare yourself to someone, you lose. Write that down. I think some of you may need to hear that. Sometimes it's fake news, right? I remember like there's just one of my friends like who went on a vacation during finals week, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there. And like when they got back, I was like, oh my gosh, that seemed like such a great vacation. And they're like, that was boring. Like it rained like half the time. I'm like, but all your pictures showed that it was perfectly sunny. So a lot of the times, like people post the best things, and you know this. Like you guys are all smart, but a lot of the times it can be fake news. Messes with your mental state. A lot of times when we see all that people are getting, like when they get a new car and we don't, like we get a hand-me-down from like our dad's dad or like something really old versus your friends get like these new cars and like, whoa, what's up, look at me, right? It messes with your mental state. Most likely when you drive your car that's a hand-me-down, even though it's a perfectly good car, and someone would look at your car and be like, oh my gosh, at least you have air conditioning, right? But instead of appreciating your car, a lot of the times you go, yeah, it's just an old car, I don't care about it. And that's because we compare ourselves. And once again, it goes back to this bottom line. Take a look at it. If you don't think it's a problem, then most likely you're not going to change. A lot of times, like when I ask students, like, hey, how's it going? They're like, oh, everything's good. I'm like, okay, that's good. But I can't help you, right? Because it's only until you realize that, okay, you know what? Life is okay. Life is good. There's some things that I need to work on now, all right? Or else later on, I'm going to regret it, all right? So that's number 2, social media. Number 3, quickly, attitude. I've always told people, positive attitude, no matter what. Even if you have a good day or a bad day, there's always something to be grateful for. Write this down. The first question my wife asks me when I come into the house every single day, even after a long teaching day, even after a bad day, my wife will look at me and say, hey, what was the most positive thing that happened to you today? So write that down. What is the most positive thing that happened to you today? So even when I'm coming home from a really stressful day and it's a bad day, it immediately redirects my mind to the positive things. And guess what? There's always positive things. We may not think it. We may think that nothing positive happened today, but there's always something positive. So it really starts with your attitude. And once again, or is like, here's a question. Why do you think we need to be careful of our attitude during quarantine? Just think about that. And here's my main points. When we're not happy, as human beings, we tend to make it known. A lot of times you're like, well, I'm not happy, but I'm going to hide it and no one will know. Oh, people will know. Because we all know that your thoughts become your words become your actions, and then your actions become your habits. All of you are way more influential than you think. If you're like, I'm not that influential. Yeah, you are. You absolutely are. And here's the thing about quarantine. If me and you were trapped in an elevator together, I think it'd be pretty awesome for the first minute. Because we'd be like, hey, let's make the most of it. Don't worry about it. Positive attitude. But if we were stuck in an elevator for a day, I'd be like, I don't even know. Like, it would not be good. And really what's happening in quarantine is that's what's happening. Maybe at first we're all positive, but here's the thing. Over time, we tend to make it known that we're not happy. Now, my greatest thing, my greatest advice to you is this. If you understand that everyone feels the same way, then be the light in your household, right? Even though you may not like your current life right now, try to look at the positives, right? Try to, like use this opportunity to just grow in your relationships and smile, right? So on the webcam, everybody, look at the webcam right now. Show me your smile. Woo! Okay, there you go. Okay, I'm seeing Claire smile, Brandon smile. I'm seeing all your smiles. Awesome. Thank you. So the power of a smile, right? Even if you're like, hi, Mom. How are you? Hi, Dad. How are you? Right? Hey, brother. So that's number 2. Here we go. 3. Here's number 4. Bad habits. Bad habits. If you've been in my class, then you know that I have a pretty good analogy for bad habits, and that is a cockroach. At the age of 21, I started teaching. I went straight to UCI. I thought I was going to do all this other stuff. And then it just like the stars lined up and the opportunity to teach at Beckman came back and it was awesome. In my first year, I was 21 years old. I started getting a salary. I'm like, oh, this is great. At the time, I was living in a Craigslist living room for $150 a month. If you know my story, I've been through some tough times. Now, once I got my salary, for the first 6 months, I still stayed in that Craigslist living room, right? Even though I was a full-blown teacher and I was making a salary. But after about 6 months, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm a professional now. I deserve my own place. So I rented an Irvine Company 1-bedroom apartment. At the time, it was like $1,750, which is like a steal, like for now. But at the time, it was a lot of money. I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm investing a lot of money into this. But I'm like, okay, no, I deserve my own place. Right when I moved in, I remember seeing a cockroach. And I was thinking like, oh, it's probably an older place. You know, it's not like one of the newer establishments. I'm paying $17. It's fine. So like I saw it, and I saw it across the living room, and I was like, ooh. And I was like, let it go. It's all good. So then it starts running around like, all right. But then it's gone. Like I thought about killing it, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll kill it. And then I went to go kill it, and it was gone. I was like, whatever. Fast forward 3 months. I started killing a cockroach every day of my life. And in that moment, I'm like, this is weird. Like literally when I wake up, I like look for a cockroach and then there's always a cockroach there. If not in my bedroom, it was in my kitchen. I was like, okay. So then I asked my neighbors, I'm like, hey, is this normal? And they're like, no, man, I don't got any roaches in my place. And I'm like, maybe I should call someone. Then I was like, whatever. And then I let it go a little bit more. And then finally I called the maintenance department and they're like, yeah, like we'll come out and we'll check it out. And then they're like, yeah, we'll try to find out where it is. He opens my AC vent and he pulls out. It was pretty much a sack of cockroach eggs. I'm like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, this has been living in my house. I didn't even know that. But I should have saw the signs. Now, fast forward 6 years later, my wife and I rented a house together. And it was our first house that we've rented together. Now we own, but that was a few years ago. And in short, I'm brushing my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, and this is like our first month in, I'm like, sweet, no roaches. Life is good. As I'm brushing my teeth, I just look down. Do you know like in your sink, there's that little hole, right? That's like an emergency drain. I just look there and I see these two antennas just swirling out like this. And I'm like, no! Like, oh my God, no. And then like, my wife's like, are you okay? What happened? Like, I heard you like scream. I'm like, okay, like I'm not scared of roaches, but I'm just pissed off because I thought I got over this. But okay, so immediately it was a small baby cockroach. And I'm like, slipper. I'm looking for a slipper, like an Asian slipper or something like that. I'm like, there's no slipper. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, if I don't kill it right now, we all learned about what happens to cockroaches. Then one little one will meet another little one. And in biology, we learn about meiosis. Okay, okay, but they come together, you get it. And in short, they mate, and now you've got a cockroach infestation. So all that went through my mind. I'm like, oh, yeah, like I can start breeding and all stuff. So then I just take my hand, and I just slap that cockroach. And my wife's like, why? Just let it go. I'm like, last time I let it go, it came into my house, and it made a house for itself. So in short, what is the cockroach an analogy for? I could go on and on. Cockroach is symbolic for a bad habit. And I'm going to make this crazy connection here. It's a connection to a bad habit, an addiction, a secret, or something that doesn't help you in the long run. Don't fool anybody, right? Everybody knows that we all, even myself included, I share this openly with my students of some bad habits and even some addictions that I've had in the past and how I've been able to curb these addictions. But in short, all of us have a bad habit, right? For some of us, it just came into our life because of quarantine. For some of us, because of quarantine, it was blown up in terms of now like we're spending more time on it. For some of us, no one knows this bad habit except you. If I found out about this bad habit, I would look at you different. For some of you, you're so afraid to even admit that you have a problem. So the point I'm trying to make is this. Can you identify a cockroach in your life? And you don't need to say yes or no. Some people are like, yes, right now. Okay, no, I'm not asking for that. But I just heart to heart, me and you were just sitting over a cup of coffee, and like we got here, like I'd say, hey, can you just identify? Don't tell me what it is, but can you say yes or no? And I hope you can really do some deep thinking here. And here's my question to you: how does our situation, aka quarantine, make this bad habit the perfect breeding ground for a potential cockroach infestation? We don't have time to get as deep as I want in terms of this topic, but I'll tell you this. A lot of my bad habits started in college because there's two things that I got a lot of. So write this down. A lot of bad habits come from two things. One, isolation, right? Isolation, whenever you're alone. And the second part of this is whenever you're bored. So write that down. Two bad things to avoid: isolation and boredom. And I'm telling you, if I could go back and talk to myself, I'd slap myself a couple times, because a lot of times you think, oh, well, it's not a bad habit, right? Everyone has this problem. Well, it's not a bad habit. I'm going to grow out of it at some point. I stayed a couple years in that. Hold on. My battery's running low. Think about that. Right back. Okay? Take a look at this. I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Classic Chow. Just kidding. Mr. Chow, also, if you need me to stream your presentation, I can do that for you too. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Keep going.
Oh no, I was just telling you, Mr. Chow, that if you didn't have a battery, I can cast your presentation. Oh, you got a battery though. You're good to go.
We're good. Thank you. Sorry, everybody. All right. So take a look at this. And here's some deep talk. And this is how I mentor my high school kids all the time. All right. So you've got to know when you're the most vulnerable. And habits take 30 days to create. So some of you are thinking, wait, we've been in quarantine for weeks. Yeah. So some of you have created some bad habits throughout this quarantine. For you to understand how this will affect you after quarantine. How did I get over my bad habit? And once again, I am so open to share really anything, right? Because I want you to learn from my life, but how did I get over it? It wasn't until a mentor. I actually shared this with a mentor. And I was scared at first. And I was like, they're going to judge me. Like, this is weird. But I just say, hey, you know what? I can't handle this alone. I need an accountability person. So it comes to that bottom one. And as a teacher at Beckman High School, I've been that person for countless. And all the secrets are safe with me because I'm not going to talk to anybody. But then the other thing is, every time I see them, I'm like, hey, how's that going? They're like, it's better. Right? I'm like, all right, we'll work on it. Right? And I'm asking that again in a week. How's it going? So to have that accountability person really matters. And what did my mentor say to me for me to quit what I was doing? He said, Philip, do you want to have the same bad habit when you're a dad? Do you want to have the same bad habit when you're an adult, when you're a role model, when you're older? And I'm like, no. He's like, then figure it out now. Because so many times we wait. We think it's just going to naturally get better. And sometimes it does. But so many times it doesn't. All right. So you have Lisa, you have Steve, and you have others in your organization, which you're so lucky for. They can be your accountability person. All right. Cool. Number 5, lack of social connection. And I'm going to quickly go through this. How's your social life right now? 1 to 10. Think about that. And start to think about, what does a great balanced social life look like in quarantine? And why do we want a social life? So there are some questions right there. So write that down. Number 5, lack of social connection. It's a trap. I believe right now social distancing is the norm, but I've always believed that social connection is the norm. So all of us need social connection. Regardless if you think so or not, no, it's healthy for us. Psychologists have said this. And here's what, so like my wife, like right when we got into quarantine, like my wife's like, so many people call you every day. And I looked at her and I said, you know why? She's like, why? I was like, it's because I call them first. Every person who calls me, I've called them first. I literally send out a text and I go, hey man, I miss hearing your voice. Let's schedule time to talk. Hey man, how have you been? Like, I know you're busy. Text back whenever you can. Now, why do I do that? Because I understand that I need them more than they need me. And over time, what they see, when I reach out more and more and more, they start reaching out. Like when I don't text them for a couple of weeks, they're like, hey man, how's it going? I'm like, cool, man, good. So over time, fight for relationships. Write that down. Fight for it. And I know sometimes you're like, well, I just want to be alone. And I get that, right? We all should have time where we're, right? We're not bombarded by all these messages. But from time to time, it's been proven that social connection it's worth it. All right? So there's the five traps to be careful of: health, screen time, social media, attitude, bad habits, and lack of social connection. Now, I believe there's a Google form, and if not, I believe like you're just taking notes. But these are this next part is what I submitted to the Google form. So I don't know if you're gonna take this quiz or not, but if you do, it's always on part 2. All right. So right now, these next 3 things, write them down, and you're gonna understand. 3 tips for building character during quarantine. Write that down. 3 tips for building character during quarantine. So here's the SparkNotes version. While you're in quarantine, my hope for you is 3 things. 1, don't lose your love. 2, don't lose your joy. And I know a lot of YAT students have joy. Every forum, every conference I go to, it's hype. Like, it's always hype. It's always hype. So I know you've got joy, but I know it's tough right now because we're in quarantine. And number 3, don't lose your forgiveness. All right. So those are the 3 things I'm going to talk about right now. And that's what it's all. All right. So we're going to go one by one. So if you're still frantically copying down, it'll come up on the screen again. So when I say don't lose your love, first you got to understand, what is love? What is love? Baby, right? Like, what is love? Look, love is a lot of things, but to me, it's appreciation, it's gratitude. It's an understanding of, okay, sure, my situation sucks right now. There's so many people out there who probably have it way worse than I do, right? A lot of my students at Beckman don't have internet. And we were able to get them an internet, right? But that's something, it's tough, right? And internet is something we all take for granted. It's like everyone has it. Not everyone. Not everyone has what we have, right? Love is effort, right? So write that down. Here's a great quote from my wife. The more you love something, hold on, let me back it up. Don't love something because it's beautiful. But because you love something, it becomes beautiful to you. Let me explain that again. But because you love things so much, they become beautiful to you, right? My wife is so beautiful to me. It's actually our 12-year anniversary next week. But she's so beautiful to me because I pour my heart out and I put in effort into her. My car, my Toyota Corolla, black, Type S, 2009, baby, 11 years old. Its paint is starting to peel on top, but every other week, my neighbors say, "Man, you take care of that Corolla." Oh yeah, I take a toothbrush and I take care of its rims sometimes. You're like, "Mr. Chow, it's a 2009 Corolla, but it's my baby." Like you understand? Like, at some point, this was my house. I slept in my car, and if you know my story, I slept in this car during college. Like, I'm not gonna I pour love into it, and because of that, I walk out of my house every day, and I'm like, "That's a beautiful car. That's a beautiful." Love is effort. The more you love something, the more beautiful it becomes. Love is understanding. Love is understanding this whole big picture of life. Love is sacrifice. Write that down. When you sacrifice for someone or something, you are pouring love into it. Now, quickly, do you know what's on Sunday? Do you know what's on Sunday? Some of you are like, the day before AP exams. Okay, fine. It is that day, but it's Mother's Day, y'all. And I know most of you knew this. Some of you didn't. But my hope is that this Mother's Day, you can honor your mom in some way. Now, you know your mom better than anyone. My mom, she's always like, "Don't buy me flowers. Flowers die. Don't buy me flowers." But I still buy her flowers, and she loves it. And one time, she was like, "I always tell Phil to save his money and to don't buy me flowers, but he still does. And that's why he's a great son." I'm like, that's trickery. Like, literally, if I listened to what he said, I would, right? So look, your parents love you so much. They want you to save your money. But understand that every mom knows how difficult it is to be a mom. Every mom knows that it's Mother's Day. And the least you can do is to go up to her, wish her a happy Mother's Day, write her a card, get her something that's thoughtful, give her a kiss, give her a hug. Especially for the seniors out there. Like, this is really important, especially in quarantine. Mothers need it. So go honor your mom in some way. And, my biggest thing is this love, as we talk about love. I keep telling my students this. Just because you're stuck at home, it doesn't mean that your mission should be on pause. Every day in class, why do I go for positive attitude? Because I'm on a mission. What am I on a mission for? My mission is to show love to kids. My mission is to tell that kid who thinks they're dumb in bio that they can actually do it. My mission is to prove that kid wrong, that they can actually become who they want to be in life, regardless of their circumstances or background. So that's my mission. And just because we're on quarantine, it doesn't mean that my mission is on hold, and it doesn't mean that yours is either. So I want to show you a list of kind of what I'm doing. Now, every single day, here, look at my calendar. So I'm an old school guy, but here's my calendar. And as you can see, every single day, it's planned out. Why? Because I'm the most efficient. Anytime I call a meeting to order with my parent organizations or my board or my leadership team or my medical program or anything, I always have an agenda. Why? No agenda, no meeting. When you list out things that you need done, things get done. And for me, I understand that if I don't have a goal, I'm not productive. So here's what I'm working on over the next 2 weeks. So Mother's Day surprise. My students and I are putting together, there's 50 students who are doing this with me, but we're putting together a Mother's Day video for all Beckman High parents. All right, so that's the first thing. My mom is visiting me starting tomorrow and over the weekend, and I've already ordered ahead of time her favorite Chinese lobster, right? Her favorite roasted, all this stuff. It's already done, right? But it's you got to plan it. I have a surprise for my AP students that they don't know about, but in short, all their parents wrote them a letter. And this letter will be given to my students next week before their AP exam. And for a lot of my students, it's their first AP exam because we're taking AP Bio. We're teaching AP Bio to freshmen at Beckman. But for a lot of them, it's high stress. And I need them to know that their parents will love them regardless, right? I need them to know what their parents actually say, not what they think their parents are going to say. Every week, my wife and I, as an excuse to get out of the house, and yes, we follow social distancing guidelines, but we go buy food. So 2 weeks ago, we bought Nothing But Cakes. We literally went there. We literally stood in it's so good. It's right there in Tustin. And we go, all right, ready? I'm going to name 3 friends. You're going to name 3 friends that live around here. Go. So we just named them. So we got 6. And we just bought 6 bundt cakes. And we just drove them to their house. And we put them right there in front of their doorstep. Ding dong. Step back a little bit. Hey, how's it going, man? He's like, dude, what is this? I'm like, surprise! For what? Feed our friend, right? Literally. But that is what we got to do. So this past week, I don't know if you know, but Gen Korean Barbecue. Not the one in Tustin. All right. So I have 3 friends that are healthcare professionals in LA. And in short, they've been staying in hotel rooms because they don't want to go home to their families because they're afraid to spread it to their families. So I'm on the phone with them like, guys, in a perfect world, if you could eat anything in the world, what would you eat? And they're like, Korean barbecue, dude. I'm like, done. So you take a mental note. The next day, grab Korean barbecue, surprise them, boom. They're like, what is this? I'm like, listen, thanks for being my friend. I love you, right? And that's pretty much it. So it just goes on and on and on and on. My wife doesn't know this, but in quarantine, she's been cooking a lot, and so have I. I've been cleaning a lot. And every single, I don't know if you can still hear me because she's in the next room. It's a secret. Every single dish that she's cooked, I've gone, oh, wow, can I take a picture of that? She's like, oh, yeah, sure. Take a picture. I'm making a cookbook for her. And it's the quarantine cookbook. So in short, every dish she's ever cooked. And there's a lot. So I went online and I created this book for her. So once again, just because we're on quarantine, it doesn't mean that our mission should be on pause. We're doing a lot for our seniors, or we're trying, and there's a lot that's gonna happen this year. It's still a secret because we don't know what can be approved yet. But yeah, just a lot of things. So looking forward to it. But just because you're on mission, just because you're on quarantine doesn't mean that you should be off your mission. So number 1, don't lose your love. And quickly, number 2, don't lose your joy. Joy, I got to say this. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Happiness versus joy. So you can write this down. I think it's true. Happiness is based on happenings. So write that down. Happenings. if things happen and they're in our favor, whoa, we're happy. Like, we're just happy. Like, come on, like, we won this award. Yeah. Like, we got this grade. Yeah. Life is going good. You're happy. And there's nothing wrong with happiness here. Like, I'm not saying anything, but I am saying that there's a difference between happiness and joy that I've come to find out in my life. Joy is internal. Joy is way more constant than happiness. Joy comes from a maturity of understanding life and understanding that in life there's highs and there's lows, and just being grateful for whatever you have. Right? So don't lose that joy. It's so easy to look at our situation and be like, this sucks. Especially for the seniors out there, I'm sorry. Like, you've worked so hard for your senior year, for prom, for Disneyland, for all these trips, for grad night, for really all this. And unfortunately, it's going to look a little different. But I am certain that your admin is working on some great things for you. But that being said, it's understanding that, hey, I'm just grateful that we're healthy and that, like, we still get to do school and we still get to see our friends through technology and all this stuff. Joy comes when you know your purpose. And that's a whole nother conversation. But for me, I am the most joyous in the mornings when I wake up and I get to go to work. Like, going to work for me is like awesome. Like, I wake up, I'm like, whoa, like, let's go. Like, and like, there's this kid that comes, he's like, Mr. Chow, can we talk? Oh yeah, let's go. Let's talk. Take a seat. Let's talk on mentor you, etc. Right? So joy, don't lose that joy. All of you have it and all of you need to work on it, but just don't lose it. Finally, don't lose your forgiveness. Forgiveness. I could go on for the next week about forgiveness. It's something we all want. It's something we all need. A lot of the times it's not deserved. And, so many times we want forgiveness, but it's hard to give others forgiveness. And we can go on and on about this. One of my seniors, when college admissions came out, he was devastated. Every single school he applied to, he didn't get into. All of his backups that he thought were sure bets, he didn't get into. And he hit a very low point when his dad came into his room and he explained this to me. He was so fearful of talking to me in his house because it all just went down. And he went to his car and we were talking. He's like, Shaq, can we talk? I'm not feeling well. I'm like, yeah, let's go. In 30 minutes, I'll get on a Zoom call with you or meet. So he's like, yeah, I'm just lost. I'm like, okay, so like, tell me your situation. Well, I found out my news yesterday. I told my parents on the news, and my dad comes into my room this morning because he's trying to find his computer mouse because he needs to go to work in the other room. And I'm like still asleep, and it's like 9 a.m. And his dad comes in, and he says, where's my computer mouse? And he's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, where's my computer mouse? Why would you hide my computer mouse from me? He's like, oh, I'm not hiding it. And he's like, why don't you get up and do something? Like, you're so lazy. And, oh, I get it. That's probably why you didn't get into your colleges. And in that moment, I asked him, like, what did you feel? He's like, anger. Because I've worked as hard as I can, and he doesn't see it. Nothing is ever good enough for him. I was like, so what did you give him? Like, what did you say back? And he's like, I did. I wanted to, but I didn't. I was like, why? Because he's like, because I actually thought about it for a moment. My dad's just stressed out because he doesn't know if he's going to be laid off or not. And he may be projecting on me. But in that moment, I didn't say anything. I said, I'm sorry, Dad. And then he cried. He cried for the whole day. And then finally, like we got on a call. And I said, what are you going to do? So when you go back to that room, of course, in your heart, there's hatred and there's anger and there's like you're just confused and you're like, what's going on? What are you going to do? And he's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, I know what you're going to do. And he's like, what? I'm like, you're going to apologize. You're like, and he's like, but I didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, but what's more important, being right or having a great relationship with your dad? He said, well, obviously, great relationship with my dad, but it's still not fair. I'm like, but love's not fair. Just try it. He's like, fine, I'll do it. So he's like, fine, I'll do it. So he says that, he's like, hey, Dad, can we talk? And before he could even talk, his dad starts tearing up. And he says, I want to apologize to you on how I treated you this morning. I'm so stressed out right now, and I don't know if I'm going to leave And in that moment, she's like, I was going to apologize. And really what it was this beautiful moment of father and son. And I'm telling you, your parents love you more than you could even ever imagine. Your parents would die for you. That is how much they love you. I would die for my son in a heartbeat, right? Because he's my son, right? Sure, we fight sometimes and we have some disagreements, but he's my son. But sometimes I don't know how to show that. And in short, all I can say is I hope that during this quarantine you understand the big picture, which is we're all stuck in an elevator. And it's been a couple weeks and we hate each other more than each other right now. And sometimes we get on each other's nerves. And sometimes we say things that we don't mean. But in short, your parents love you so much. So to forgive them is to love them. And you'll find in your life that if you learn at a young age how to forgive, you're going to save yourself a lot of stress. Because if he were to blow up on that moment, that his dad came in and said that, guess what? His dad would have blown up too. Guess what? Someone would have thrown something, right? Who knows? So, one of my students got so mad during quarantine, he punched a hole through his wall. And he showed me a picture and he said, can you help? He literally sent me an email and said, can you help? Yeah, we got to talk, right? So we are all going through different things. And all I can say is you guys are the best of the best. When you go home, your parents don't need to know that you're leader of the app. What do they need? They need their son. They need their daughter. It doesn't matter what your accolades you have, what college you're going to. Your parents truly love you for being their child. So I hope that you can take that. Now, just a quick takeaway and I'm done. So I asked my students usually, which one do you need more? Love, joy, and forgiveness. And then they all vote. And actually all three surprisingly come back pretty even. And I said, so that's what you need. Okay, now what do you need to give more of? And then they respond, and usually it's different. Here's how psychologists have figured this out. The more you need, whatever you need more of, try giving more of it. So if you need more love, it's like, I feel like no one loves me. Well, then try reaching out to your friends, try reaching out to your family, and try loving them. And you'll find that you'll get a return. So that's a secret of life that I found out. If you need more forgiveness, then give more forgiveness, right? And then you're going to learn that habit, right? So that's pretty much it. In summary, the 5 traps, 3 tips for building character. I'm sorry if this went a little long. It's already 50 minutes or 49 minutes. But yes, thank you for letting me share. I care about you all. Even if I don't know you, this guy cares about you. And if I could ever do anything for you, email me, right? But know that I may not have that relationship with you. And Lisa, Steve, and all of your other higher-ups, they have that relationship with you. And most likely they can help you more. But if you need another opinion, I'm just 1 email away. Reach out at Tustin. And that's pretty much it. All right? Thank you very much.
Woo! Very awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chow. Are there any questions for Mr. Chow?
Yeah, what do you got? Oh, this is so fun. This is awesome.
Well, amazing, Mr. Chow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love you.
It never feels like an hour. I'm so excited because usually during Teen Summit, I'm running around like a chicken without my head. So I get to actually sit down and marinate and get the chowness all in. I'm like, oh, this is why everybody loves you. I mean, I knew why they loved you, but now I know.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah. Any questions?
Lena. Thank you, Brandon, for inviting me. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon, for helping us coordinate it.
Thank you, Kaylin. Is it Kaylin? I'm sorry if it's not. Hey, Leah. I think I know Leah. Hi, Leah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Shawnee, right? Thank you, Eddie. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Ed, right? Lydia. Okay, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Thank you, Daniel. I saw you on the thing, Daniel. Thank you, Lainey. Thank you, Iris. All right. Hey, but let's use this time wisely. And if I can't answer it, Lisa, Steve, your higher-ups, they can answer as well. But yeah, and are there any questions about life, right? Like, let's just have a conversation. Like, I think we got some more time. Thank you, Saba. Thank you, Saba.
Any questions? And even be personal questions of Mr. Chow. Do you like how I just threw him under the bus? I'm like, you can ask me anything.
And real quick to Saba. Saba, I don't know what portion made you cry, but as a high schooler, if you ask me what is my biggest regret, okay, so first off, like, I've never drank, I've never smoked, I didn't have sex before marriage, right? So in terms of that stuff, like, I'm good. But there's one regret that I have, and this is really embarrassing for me to admit. See, a lot of you see the Mr. Chow as of today, as a 29-year-old turning 30 in a couple weeks, in a couple months. But I wasn't like this in high school. I was a nice person. I was a positive person. I was so mean to my mom. And that's why every Mother's Day, I really try to show her for as long as I can how much I love her. Some of you know my story. My dad retired from the Boeing company as an engineer for 30 plus years of work. And within a year of him retiring, he suddenly passed away. Like out of nowhere. No one saw it coming. And in that moment, it just proved how temporary life is. And I look back and I'm like, for every time that I've had a disagreement with my dad, like I look back and I'm like, shame on you, man. And so many times my parents were like, can we go out? Like, can we go on a vacation? And I would literally say, sorry, I have this conference on this weekend. I can't. I have APs to study for. I can't. I have this summer program that I want to be part of. I can't. And I would just reject my parents so much. And I'm grateful enough in that I figured it out early and that I fixed it. But I'm telling you, your parents love you so much. Right? So thank you for sharing that. Hey, let's go. Questions. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Saba, again. All right? Anything. Come on. Throw something out there for us to talk about. Let's get juicy. Let's get juicy. You're to get juicy. Let's get juicy. Okay, that's kind of weird to say to a computer screen, but let's get juicy. Come on.
Anyone?
Hello?
Anyone, throw something out.
Can you hear me?
Is that you, Christina?
Yeah.
Sure, ask a question.
Christina, go for it. Hi, Christina.
I can't. Hi, Mr. Chow. I just want to say, great presentation. I loved it. You actually made me cry during the last part. So my question is just, I don't know, just typical advice after college, because I'm a senior in high school and I'm pretty already overwhelmed with college stuff already, but it's just life after college that not a lot of people focus on. And I'm not really sure how to navigate that.
Wow. So thank you so much, Christina. And I can just tell you right now, more of us on this call are feeling the same way. So Christina, what grade are you in?
I'm 12th grade.
Okay, so you're going to go off to college. Okay, so I could go on for an hour, but I'm going to sum it up in a few bullet points. And I've done many trainings on this, so I'm a good person to ask. So if you look at me, how many times did I switch careers? I switched careers literally so many times until 2 weeks before graduation, my senior year of UCI. Now, just a few things here. So I know that we want control over our lives, but you have to understand that you will grow so much in the next couple of years. And yes, you should have a goal. So my goal was dentistry, and I'm very far from that now. I actually got into dental school after UCI, and I was on a clear-cut track of doing it. Now, because of my passion of dentistry, I got to go on medical missions all around the world. And because of that, I got to gain all this invaluable experience. Because of that, I kept my GPA high. And because of that, I had so many opportunities after UCI that really just tried to get me. Now, here's my best advice. Don't worry about it right now, Christina, on like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? No. Instead, I would at least narrow it down to, hey, I'm really interested in these fields. I'm interested. I'm not committed yet. I'm interested. And then over time, it's a question of this. So this is what I usually say in my presentations. What do you have to do in life to be happy? And my mentor, find a mentor, Christina, find a mentor at your college. It could be a professor. It could be someone, but it's someone that's willing to help you, kind of like a Lisa or a Steve. But in short, my mentor did so much for me. He sat me down and he said, hey, write down a list of everything you have to do to be happy. I go, done. So I just start writing this list. And my list was this: mentoring, tutoring, counseling, talent shows. Oh my gosh, I love talent shows. I've done every talent show in background. I love talent shows. I love coaching. I love mentoring. And then he goes, okay, how is this related to dentistry? I'm like, well, it's not, but dentistry is only my career. And maybe on the weekends I can do all this stuff. And he's like, dude, your career is where you spend 8 hours of your day, Monday through Friday. So hopefully you can find a career that matches up. So in short, here's what I would do. Christina, in really do some soul searching and find out just what am I good at? Like, what are my gifts? What are my talents? And then from there, what do I need to do to be happy? What would I do without pay? Like for me, dude, I would do as many of these presentations as possible without pay. You don't have to pay me. Like the fact that you asked the question after, and the fact that people somewhat appreciate it or liked it, like that's gold for me. Like I'm grateful. So if you can do that, which you will, then you won't have to work a single day in your life. Right? So a lot of it, Christina, is being patient, is being observing of like what you. But ultimately, it's this. Okay, I want to quickly go into this. When I first got my acceptances into my my professional schools after undergrad, my family actually threw a party for me, and I don't know if I've shared this before with you yet. So it was like this, like it was like this borderline, like congratulations, Dr. Chow, and it was a big deal because I was like one of the first doctors of the family. And I was like, oh yeah, right, yeah. And they got some dinner and all the food and everything. And my aunt and uncle, they come from a very wealthy background. And they came up to me during that thing and they said, hey, congratulations. We are willing to help you fund your education. And, like one day, like later on, you can pay it back. I'm like, oh, cool. And then all of a sudden, after that party, like about a month later, it was like 2 months before graduation, my mentor asked me this question. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? I'm like, oh, well, I want to be a dentist. And maybe, yeah. So, but maybe one day, like later, like when I retire, maybe I'll go back into the classroom. Like, I think teaching at Beckman would be pretty awesome. That's what I said to my mentor. And he's like, okay, so teaching in dentistry, if you only had 10 years of life left, would you choose dentistry or teaching? In that moment, that was the first time I ever thought about it, Christina. I'm like, 10 years of life? Like, forget pulling teeth. Like, let's go do challenges. Let's go have fun. Like, let's go enjoy life. So, but I told him dentistry because I couldn't give up on what I worked hard for. Now, when I pulled that 180, my aunt and uncle literally were very disappointed. And they started spreading the narrative in my family. Not that I chose teaching instead of dentistry. They started spreading the narrative in my family that, oh, yeah, Uncle Phil? Yeah, he actually didn't get into dental school. And that's why he got into, like, he's becoming a teacher. Mm-hmm. So there's this negative thing that was spreading. And like, my mom's like, did you hear that? I'm like, I did. And like, she's like, don't say anything. I'm like, all right, I won't. So I just let him go for a couple of years. It wasn't until my second year of teaching in that my little cousins, so my aunt and uncle's kids were playing in my apartment at the time. And they were going through my stuff, which I don't know why. But they came across this box of gratitude notes from that year of hundreds of gratitude notes from students saying, thank you for taking the time to mentor me. Thank you for helping me through my addictions. It's just all this stuff. And then like they went back and they told their parents, when I grow up, I want to be like Philip because he loves what he does. And two, he impacts a lot of people. And in that moment, my aunt and uncle, after 2 years of disappointment, they finally looked at me and said, I'm sorry. So you got to be careful, right? Because for me, man, if I listened to what they said, I would be doing a career I wouldn't want to do. Your parents, I've polled thousands of parents at Beckman High School. There's 2 things that parents want. Ready for it? This is the top 2 that every parent wants. 1, believe it or not, for you to be happy. That is number 1. And number 2, it's for you to provide a living for yourself. Now, do you need all this money? Okay, well, maybe, right? But maybe not. And I was like, look at me, I'm doing well, right? So the point is, you'll be fine, Christina. I think I went way over my time, but thank you for asking. I'm here, Lisa's here, Steve's here. We're all here to help you as you reach that point. And that's really something to think about, like, what do you love to do? What do you, just what do you have to do to be happy? What else?
Thank you for
I don't know if we have enough time for
answering.
questions. I think we
And is there anyone else? I know
students.
Mr. Chow's been up since, or he hasn't been up. He's been teaching since 7 a.m. He's probably been up earlier than that. But is there anything else? Anyone else?
Could I actually ask?
What's for dinner? Oh, Steve.
Oh, Steve wants to know what's for dinner tonight.
All right. So So, like me and my wife, it's been great because we don't have kids yet, right? Like we're praying for it, like we're hoping, right, at some point, right? But right now, no kids. We just bought a brand new house. It's awesome. But tonight we got slow cooked ribs, and they've been on the queue for probably like 2 hours or something like that. So we got slow cooked, and we always like delivering some food to our neighbors. There's a young couple that just moved in across the street, and yeah, like I usually text them, we go, "Hey, you want some ribs?" They're like, really? I'm like, go for it, man. Sharing's caring. So ribs. Steve, what's dinner for you tonight? Is he there? Lisa, what do you got for dinner?
Unmute myself. I think we're doing not as fun as ribs, but quinoa bowls and what's my daughter having? Probably something different. Probably some sort of pasta, mac and cheese. Eat peas right now. My kiddo eats veggies, so it's awesome.
Lisa, what do you got?
Oh man, if you've never heard of Skinny Taste, Steve's the one that introduced me to that website, and that new she's an amazing cook and nutritionist, helps her out. But they make a lighter mac and cheese with spinach, and it's pretty amazing. So that's what we're eating tonight. Oh. So anyways, Christina, did you have one more question?
So good. That's so good.
Yeah, but I also don't want to take time away from Mr. Chow because it's like dinner time, I don't want to take him from his ribs.
Anyone else? Yeah, now's the time.
You sure?
Oh.
I'll quickly answer.
I mean, I guess.
Oh no, we're good. The longer you
the longer you wait, Christina, the better.
Email or just ask real quick because I think people are.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
No, I was just gonna ask. It's actually related to more of relationships, not necessarily platonic ones, but like before you met your wife, did you feel complete already? Like, did you feel like your own self? Or do you think your wife helped you with that? Is that too much?
It's a good question. That's a good question.
This is awesome. It's like Mr. Chow Unplugged. Okay.
No. Hey, every day it's unplugged my classroom. Let's go. Because I'm like, look, I don't have the answers, but I have made a lot of mistakes and I've gone through life, right? And I'm right ahead of you guys. So that's a great question, Christina. And I think a lot more of us think that question. So to answer that, when I met my wife, I was 17. I was in the 5th grade, but we started dating when we were seniors, right? Like the last month, I think, of high school. So I can't really answer that, like if I was complete or not, because I didn't even know what I was. I was 17 years old. I thought I knew what I was, but now looking back, it's like, okay, I probably didn't know. But to answer your question, so much research has shown that before you get into a relationship, you need to be ready to serve someone. Before you get into a relationship, you need to be ready to provide for someone, right? Emotionally, physically, like just like in all aspects. So I would say, for me, she was my first like real girlfriend, but I had 3 other. I had 3 other girlfriends, but come on, back then. Okay, so here's the difference between now and then. It's so weird. Back then, when your girlfriend was like boyfriend girlfriend with someone, the most you do is hold hands and change your MySpace status from single to in a relationship. Times have changed, y'all. Like the access to this has sexualized everything. And this is something I talk about in my class, and you got to understand kind of these situations you're in. Just everything's sexualized. Like so many people, like you can ask me at like 13, they're like, "What sex am I?" I'm like, "Oh my!" I'm like, I wasn't even thinking that. Now we can talk about that. But that being said, it's just a different world. So to simply answer your question, my wife absolutely completes me. But I believe that when I started dating my wife at 17. I kind of knew what I wanted in a relationship already. Well, one, my parents were great together. 2, I've had some pretty bad relationships before, and I've always been committed. It's like I remember having this conversation with my wife at 18. I'm like, hey, I've got a lot of issues. You've probably already figured that out by now. But thank you for being patient with me and working out them with me. And like I don't know, like I just realized like there's a beauty with commitment. It's so rare these days to have committed relationships. All right. And I don't know, like we want it to be, that's why we work so hard, Adam. But to answer your question, I keep deviating the question. Was I complete? In a way I was. And in a way I was mentally like ready for it. Because once again, it goes back to, are you ready to serve someone? And not just constantly like be served or like constantly rely on them. We went to different colleges. She went to UCLA, I went to UCI. So we had some time apart, which was good. Because in the long run, she got to grow as an individual and I got to grow. And then we came together. But I've seen a lot of friends who go to college together and they're dating each other and all this stuff. And they spend so much time together, which is great. But over time, they don't get to grow as much as probably they need to. All right? So yeah, we can talk more. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. I hope that answered your question, Christina.